don't make a sound. Just here is a river in its natural habitat. Rivers are important because of science, and hydroelectric power is a very clean way to produce energy from them. Or is it? Actually, surprisingly not. Dams and their reservoirs emit hundreds of millions of tons of methane every single year, which is enough to contribute between 1 and 4% of the total global warming impact, depending on how the methane is measured. Why? Because the area behind the dam contains loads of freshly flooded vegetation and vegetals that can't survive underwater, die, and become food for methane-producing bacteria. Because dams so significantly change rivers, they've contributed to an 81% decline in surface freshwater wildlife since 1970, with many species going extinct entirely. On the plus side, dams have contributed to the world lexicon of jokes. For example, what did the fish say when it swam into the wall? But damming up rivers also affects our ability to grow food, since dams trap nutritious, delicious sediments further upstream, so they can't be deposited on floodplains downstream as they have for thousands of years before. Like, for example, the amazing farmland running along the banks of the Nile, sustaining the Egyptian Empire for time. Speaking of which, did you know that Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of the Egyptians, is closer in time to us than she was to the first pharaoh of the Egyptians? The Egyptians had a good innings. Also, Tyrannosaurus Rex is closer in time to us than it was to Stegosaurus. The dinosaurs had a good innings too. Which brings us nicely back to dams. I've always thought that hydroelectric dams were great. Surely the electricity generated from them is so huge that the positives outweigh the negatives. But maybe not. When comparing different energy sources, there are loads of different things to consider, like reliability, need for batteries, maintenance, construction, suitability of sites, future prospects, and considering all of these things, studies generally put solar, hydroelectric, and wind on a roughly level pegging in terms of their climate impact. The important conclusion to draw, in my opinion, is that we do definitely need renewables big time, but also we need to balance them carefully. Hydroelectric dams, for example, are a little bit more damaging short and long term than a lot of people think. They're not perfect. The EU is currently planning to build hundreds of dams across the Balkans in a bid to produce loads of clean energy, and whilst there's good reason for doing this in terms of replacing power from fossil fuels, there's also good reason to not do it at the scale proposed, because it's a lot more important than it may at first appear to keep as many of our rivers wild as we possibly can. If you're interested in learning more, check out Patagonia's Blue Heart campaign. And to end, here's something cool about energy and the potentials for getting it in the future. The energy in the spinning of the world is about 20 trillion joules. If we could use just a tiny amount of that energy to power the world, then the cumulative effect of that would be that even 1,000,000 years from now, Earth's day would be about 5 seconds longer. Thanks for watching, spread the knowledge, and deliciously subscribe for more.